William Lawrence. He's with the nonprofit organization Project on Middle East Democracy. He's an expert on political transitions in North Africa and the Middle East. And our reporter there was just talking about the 10th anniversary coming up just around the corner of 7/7, the attacks there in the UK. Is this a game changer for security?
I would say yes and no. It isn't in the sense that we've had terrorist attacks on tourists going way back. This is the attack in Tunisia was the worst one since the Luxor attack in Egypt in 1997. But tourists have been a target in Tunisia. In 2003, there was a failed attempt in Tunisia in Sousse. In 2002, there was the Djerba bombing, of course, the Bardo bombing 3 months ago. So these type of attacks have been going on. What's new is that they're hitting new areas, and they're hitting more countries all at once with greater lethality. And there's a kind of fetishizing of death going on, beheading, drowning groups of prisoners in pools, you know. And
how barbaric can you be, trying to outdo one another? Exactly,
and trying to grab headlines. So there's a manipulation of the international community, a manipulation of the media, and all in the name of just killing. And so it's gotten much worse than before.
So the Islamic State militants have been gaining strength since the overthrow of Ben Ali in 2011. But you had the Tunisian fighters who are also now returning from Libya. Would there be any different if there was a different government in charge right now?
You can make that argument. You know, this having an Islamist-led government in power creates a little bit of a buffer for those of the Islamist leanings politically who might think, well, with Islamists in power, maybe that's not the primary target I want to hit. And so the election of a secular president and his party in the elections in the fall in Tunisia did open it up for more terrorism. But the president made several good moves, and one was inviting the Islamist Party into the coalition government. And he's been treating democratic Islamists with a rather light touch. So he's made a lot of the right moves. What's concerning most people right now in Tunisia is that there's a crackdown going on in civil society. They just announced they're closing 80 mosques in the middle of Ramadan. And so there's always a fear that if the government's too heavy-handed in its crackdown, that it'll provoke more reaction from the population. So you have to kind of find the right balance.
Why is Tunisia so vulnerable?
Well, Tunisia is and isn't more vulnerable in the sense that a lone gunman can kill 20 people on a beach anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to, be particularly in Tunisia. And there's no real defense against people without clothes on getting shot on a beach and around a pool. There isn't a good a way to defend against that. But Tunisia, for example, lost a lot of its, let's say, security muscularity after the revolution. A lot of people were fired. A lot of people were edged out of their jobs. And Tunisia has had to rebuild its security forces and needs to do a lot more to rebuild its security capacity.
I was going to ask
and there's a weakness there.
Is there a connection between the Arab uprising?
Absolutely. One of the main things that happened, and Tunisia is well aware of this, and this is why they're shutting the mosques down, is that by opening up free speech and spaces for contention, you open it up for everybody across the political spectrum, including those who engage in jihadist speech. And so that creates new threats as new young people hear these rhetorics and discourses of confrontation, and they get excited by it. You asked about the fighters coming back from Iraq and Syria and Libya. They're coming back by the hundreds. Most of them are coming back disillusioned. They went to fight a dictator and they got swept up in a jihad killing civilians. But some of them come back and fall into the same misery that they have had when they left. And so the things that pushed them out to fight in the first place then pushed them towards extreme acts. Now this kid apparently got trained maybe in Libya, maybe in Tunisia, but hadn't done much fighting. He did get some training, but it was probably local training. And so we'll learn more in the coming days.
So you've had the attacks that we were just talking about in France and Kuwait as well. Do you see this triple threat being repeated?
Yes, and it'll get worse. There were actually 5 attacks. There was attacks in Somalia and Syria, as well as the 3 you mentioned, all in the same day. I think they were connected in 2 ways. They were connected because All of the attackers are referring to jihadist ideologies, whether ISIS or Al-Qaeda. They're all flying the black and white flag, and it's all happening in Ramadan. But beyond that, there are a lot of local causes. The France attack was an employer-employee dispute as much as anything else. In Tunisia, the kid was a very troubled kid. His brother had been killed by a lightning strike, and he had other sort of anomalies in his past. The attack in Kuwait very much is designed to provoke Sunni Shia fighting, which was a successful strategy for ISIS in Iraq. And of course the Somalia attack and the Syria attack had their own local dynamics as well. So there's a global element, but there's also local context you have to understand to really get the heart of what's going on.
William Lawrence, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Always